Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here. Seeing as Disney's new live-action remake of The Little Mermaid is set to come out this week, I decided to watch every episode of the spin-off TV series that came out in the 90s, and choose my picks for the top 5 best and worst episodes. While the series does have some bangers, the showrunners were only human, so some episodes are a swing and a miss. But I will be following my golden rule of giving constructive feedback to the bad ones. So grab your snorkels as we dive into the countdown, starting with my top 5 worst choices. The Beast Within. Triton has been given an ugly trophy as a present, so he decides to hand it away as a 25th anniversary award to Sebastian, which goes straight to his head. Then Ariel, Sebastian, Flounder and Urchin enter a dark cave, where they come face to face with a howling hairfish, which bites Flounder. In a panic, Urchin throws Sebastian's trophy at the hairfish, which deeply upsets Sebastian, who falls out with Urchin. Suddenly, Flounder starts feeling really weird, and transforms into a howling hairfish himself, which makes him resent Ariel for dragging him into the cave. Now, I'm 100% down with an undersea take on the werewolf mythos, especially when the unlikely cursed victim is the sweet and nervous Flounder. That aspect of this episode is done well. It's a fun tribute to classic monster films.
Oh no, please don't.
However, everything else is just painful and frustrating to watch. From Sebastian never shutting up about his damn trophy.
Urchin, can you believe the king gave me this trophy?
The cave entrance is blocked. We're trapped.
Oh, no. Good thing I brought my trophy. You got any cures in there for broken trophies?
To Urchin and Sebastian constantly bickering.
I haven't felt this terrible since Urchin broke my trophy.
If you mention that trophy one more time, I'm gonna scream.
It's not funny. Heck, it never gets funny. I mainly just groaned at this trophy fiasco. I did not have the patience to tolerate these two fighting scene after scene after scene.
Well, I'd appreciate it if Urchin didn't break every trophy I win.
If you don't stop blaming me for breaking your trophy, I'll never forgive you.
You may be wondering what Urchin and Sebastian's quarrelling has to do with the howling hairfish plot. Well, the main message of this episode is the importance of forgiveness, which I have no grief with. The problem is that the episode is very condescending at getting this theme across. Whether we're meeting characters who hammer in the episode's lesson about pettiness,
They are fools! Because of their treatment of me, I have denied them the treatment for the howling hairfish.
or Ariel lecturing Urchin and Sebastian about forgiveness.
Don't you see
See what?
how easy it is to forgive?
But my trophy!
I turned Flounder into a howling hairfish, and he forgave me.
It's all quite patronising, and I expect a lot better from this show. So how could have this episode been better? Well, I don't think that the trophy plot was even needed. It's very tiresome to put up with, doesn't inspire much good comedy. Plus, we already have a whole story about Flounder learning to forgive Ariel. Just cut the whole trophy plot out. Sometimes it really doesn't take much to fix a cartoon. A Tale of Two Crabs. In this episode, Sebastian's old rival Zeus, who is perfect at everything, turns up at Atlantica. During Zeus's stay, he helps to devise Triton so well that he makes Sebastian jealous, and a crab challenge is proposed. Sebastian is very nervous though, so a slimy Ursula pretends to be his fairy crab mother, and offers to give Sebastian superpowers in trade for a powerful glowing stone that Triton recently found, not knowing how dangerous said stone really is, or that these superpowers are actually completely fake. Despite the show being called The Little Mermaid, I did notice that a chunk of the 31 existing episodes are very Sebastian-centric, a character who works very well as a comic relief, but can be annoying if he's the star of a story. This is one such episode, in which Sebastian's worst traits of jealousy, stubbornness, bad temper and pettiness are exaggerated to 11 for the whole tale. At first, I felt a little sorry for him, but the more obsessive and desperate he became, the less sympathetic I was.
Sebastian, it's the middle of the night. Maybe we should stop.
Never!
Look, I get that the episode wants to teach Sebastian to accept that some people will be more perfect than him, but it's just not a good execution. There's not much to the comedy of Sebastian and Zeus's rivalry. It's just the one same joke of Zeus being so good at something that he wins an award, then Sebastian sulking from the humiliation. This monotonous running gag is also a detriment to the tension of the challenge too, because we know that Zeus will win every event, and it becomes very repetitive.
Give up, Sebastian. Stop making a fool of yourself.
Never!
Zeus isn't a fun to hate antagonist either. He's kind of smug and rubs his wins in Sebastian's face, but he's humble to the king and not that annoying. So how could have this episode been better? Well, instead of making Zeus flawless and perfect, write him as a truly detestable crab who bullies Sebastian and is rude to everyone. Then we could enjoy Sebastian trying to knock him down a peg. Plus, the episode should have made the odds between Sebastian and Zeus unpredictable. It would have made the crab challenge way more fun to watch. As it is though, A Tale of Two Crabs is a rather boring, repetitive and mildly irritating episode. Only saved from being ranked lower thanks to the always fabulous and creative Ursula, who steals the episode with a rather clever evil scheme.
That spell is no good, and neither am I.
Calliope dreams. After a human harp falls into the ocean, Ariel is totally smitten by it, but unfortunately, Triton would prefer that she plays the sea Calliope, which Ariel is really bad at, so bad that she could awaken the slumber of the Cyclops. Now, I do like the backstory behind Triton's love of the Calliope. You see, when Triton was little, his grandpa would play a sea Calliope to him every bedtime, and so the instrument became very nostalgic to him. It's a very cute childhood tale that shows Triton's softer side, and makes us understand why Ariel finds it so hard to turn down her father's wish. The episode itself, though, is a bit of a slog to sit through. It's mainly carried by the one joke that Ariel is terrible at playing the Calliope. We get it, Ariel sucks at this thing. Can we please stop hearing all these sour notes? The episode also keeps delaying any Cyclops action, as it constantly finds excuses for Ariel and her friends to not face him yet, doing whatever it takes to put off the inevitable, like making him fall back to sleep, or creating freak accidents to knock him down. Basically, a lot of filler to pad things out until any monster battling, something we don't get to see until the very end. So how could have this episode been better? Well, just have Ariel practice once. One scene is enough to show that she's bad at the Calliope and doesn't enjoy playing it. That one practice would then wake up the Cyclops, and the episode could have been all about Ariel protecting the Calliope, which is special to her dad, from the Cyclops at all costs. This would have made for more exciting storytelling and resulted in way less terrible ear-burning music. Marriage of Inconvenience. One day, Ariel and her friends play in a slide together, having lots of fun. Triton comes to watch their frolicking and makes the decision to partner Ariel up with the Prince of Olympia, which makes Urchin assume that he means an arranged marriage, when really, he's talking about an acrobatics partnership. Urchin tries to tell his friends, but they laugh him off. While Triton is visiting the Kingdom of Olympia, the prince overhears his dad discussing this acrobatics team-up, and he decides to visit Atlantica to meet Ariel in person. Suddenly everyone believes Urchin, so they all try to convince the prince to change his mind, by pranking him into hating the idea of marrying Ariel, which leads to the King of Olympia starting a war. I really disliked how this episode was just one big contrived misunderstanding. Every scene has been written around forcing characters to misinterpret each other, with characters often exaggerating themselves to force said miscommunication.
Then I guess you'll want to leave and never see me again.
No. Our union is too important to our nations. Be ready to leave on the low tide. I'm taking you to Olympia.
Like, there's a whole scene where Ariel and her friends try to trick the prince that she's cuckoo crazy, all while the episode awkwardly labors over making sure that the prince still thinks that this is all about acrobatics, which just results in a very weird scene that's more uncomfortably strange than funny.
She's flipping out!
Now I understand.
You do?
All too clearly. You think she's too good for me.
But what bothers me the most about this episode is that everything is all Triton's fault, yet he never admits responsibility. Instead, all the blame is thrown onto Urchin, who is just a child.
Can you believe it? I caused a war.
Triton was the one who was cryptic about his plans before leaving, and never consulted Ariel about his idea for the SEA Games partnership. He's the root of all this mess that leads to a war. Urchin was just trying to protect his friend. How could have this episode been better? Well, it could have just been an episode where Ariel agrees to partner up with the prince for the SEA Games, but they struggle to get along, and the two have to learn to work as a team to keep peace between their kingdoms. No forced misunderstandings, just a fun story of an unlikely partnership. Message in a bottle. In this episode, Ariel finds a message from someone called Simon, who claims to be trapped inside a sea monster's cave. So Ariel goes on an adventure to rescue Simon, only to discover that the sea monster is actually Simon, who really wants to make friends, and feels trapped inside his cave because none of his neighbours want to hang out with him. So Ariel welcomes him to the palace, but this sea monster really struggles to fit in. This episode is mainly bogged down thanks to the character of Simon himself. The show really wants us to feel sorry for him, but I just can't. Not only has he been writing sneakily worded letters that manipulate people into visiting him.
Help! I'm a prisoner in a sea monster's cave. Please rescue me.
But he's just an all-round unlikable character, sort of the Jar Jar Binks of the series. Sure, he's very friendly, but he's also loud, painfully obnoxious, and lacking in social etiquette. Plus, whenever he's scolded, he always throws a pity party, and clearly wants his tantrums to sway people's emotions.
I knew it! I'm such a loser! A total washout! The scum of the ocean floor! Everybody hates me!
You'd expect Ariel to do a lot to help, but she just nags Simon to learn to be a better house guest, while never explaining what that actually entails, so it's no surprise that he keeps messing up.
Oh no.
This had better be a nightmare.
Simon?
I'm only trying to be a good guest. Did you like my serenade?
It's only when Simon protects the people of Atlantica from invaders that everyone suddenly decides to like him. This is a shallow last-minute redemption that doesn't show that he's fully matured, and it doesn't help that we get a mixed impression of whether his social skills have actually improved after saying goodbye. So how could have this episode been better? Oh boy, that's tricky, because this one is pretty dang bad. I guess they could have toned down Simon's personality, maybe have him be adorably shy rather than annoyingly loud. Plus, Ariel should have given him clear lessons on manners and self-control. Give him an arc that makes us buy that he'll easily make friends after leaving the palace. The episode as it stands is just terrible though. One of the least watchable Disney cartoons I've ever seen. I hope that I never have to watch it again. Now it's time for me to reveal my picks for the top 5 best episodes. Charmed. In this episode, Ariel brings home a human magnifying glass, which angers Triton, who scolds Ariel, destroys the glass, and makes a vague threat about what he'll do if she does it again. Upset, Ariel goes exploring and finds a pretty charm bracelet, but it gets locked on her. She realizes that the key is down a dark abyss that homes a whirlpool-sucking monster. She tries to grab the key, but ends up being sucked below. One of the best things about this episode is how well it raises its stakes. Ariel is not only too afraid to go home because she has a human thing stuck to her wrist, but she's also now trapped in the deep sea, and has been warned that it's near impossible that she'll ever get out.
I've got to get out of here.
No, you'll never get out of here. You can't possibly swim fast enough to reach the opening.
The abyss is full of scary creatures that might frighten sensitive kids too, each one loosely inspired by real deep-sea animals, but with exaggerated twists. It's one of the rare episodes that counts as children's nightmare fuel.
She's alone. What's your rush? Stay with us.
But the episode is also a look at Triton's flawed parenting. Most notably, his incredibly sensitive temper. Triton's aggression and unclear punishment threat has understandably pushed Ariel from returning home. If you can't handle teaching your child without flipping out, then of course they're going to be too traumatized to come to you to admit a mistake. Charms uses this plot as an opportunity to teach Triton to control his temper as he practices how to calmly talk to his daughter.
Maybe His Majesty had better write it down. Then we'll rewrite it a few times. Then we can practice until Ariel comes home.
This all pays off when he finally lets Ariel explain her side of things and the repercussion of his rage.
I've made you afraid to come to me with your problems. From now on, I promise to listen.
I'd really like that, Daddy.
Overall, Charmed is a high-stakes adventure full of exciting monsters and unusual merfolk that explores the consequences of hostile parenting and the importance of nurture over antagonism. Ariel's treasures. When King Triton goes on a trip to a conference, Atlantica is left unprotected, so Ursula does the unthinkable and turns Ariel's beloved human treasures into dangerous menaces. Then she offers to save the terrified Atlanteans with an antidote, but only if they make her into their queen. Ariel, with help from her friend Gabriella, must investigate what the Sea Witch is really up to. There's a decent number of tales in which Ursula rocks up as the episode's villain, and this is my favourite one. Ursula's evil scheme has a pretty genius setup that she can really relish in, because she can take on her trademark character of the caring sorceress with helpful potions, all while basking in the destruction of Triton's kingdom, and seeing Ariel lose her precious human artifacts to dark magic. Oh, and all of these objects are actually pretty intimidating once possessed too, and they become even more dangerous once they transform into purple spinning tornadoes of doom. Speaking of which, I like that the episode explores how Ariel's collection of stuff and knickknacks is more than just a bunch of shallow paraphernalia. Each and every one of them resembles an adventure with her friends. Once Ariel catches on to Ursula's trickery and finds batches of her antidote in her cave, she has to make the difficult decision to sacrifice all of her collection to save the kingdom. You can tell that it's really hard for her to do.
But Ariel, you'll destroy all your stuff!
Luckily, after everything is over, she reaches the sweet conclusion that all of her memories remain in her friends, who shared her collecting adventures with her.
You can remember the good times without all that stuff. I mean, you know, you still have us.
Yeah, Ariel. We can remember together.
Yeah, you're right.
Thingamajigger. When a pirate's boot falls into the ocean, Ariel names it a Thingamajigger, and the citizens of Atlantica speculate what it is, but Triton insists that Ariel gets rid of it right away, because anything human is dangerous to him. Ariel does bury it for her dad, but it's unearthed and ends up in the hands of various villains, who mistake it for a human weapon. What's fascinating about this episode is seeing how every creature reacts to the Thingamajigger. It's something different to everyone, almost like it's a blank canvas to every fish's imagination. Thanks to some anxious, gossipy oysters, a whole folklore is created around the Thingamajigger, and its power is dramatically exaggerated, hence why local criminals are attracted to it. No one is willing to learn what it is, they just love the idea of what it could be.
Why don't you try it on that cliff, boss?
Cliff? Yeah, I will. All right, Thingamajigger, shoot!
This all goes to show how Triton's fear of human things doesn't help Atlantis to be cautious, but rather fill in the blanks themselves, assume the worst, and panic over danger that isn't actually real. It's up to Ariel to let her curiosity over humans lead to the education that sea folk need, and she ends up learning that Thingamajiggers are just plain simple shoes. What's extra special about this is that the human she watches is actually Prince Eric, who demonstrates kindness to a dolphin, introducing Ariel to the existence of good humans. It's the scene that makes this episode important to Little Mermaid lore, and serves as the building blocks for Ariel's character arc.
How can that be? A human who's not evil?
Maybe we came to the wrong place.
I wish I could have seen his face.
The highlight of the episode, though, has to be when Evil Manta tries threatening Triton's kingdom with the Thingamajigger, only for Ariel to have a hilarious boot showdown with the villain.
Let's just see whose Thingamajigger is more powerful.
Thingamajigger is a great episode to me because it explores the power of imagination and how education will always trump fear, all while cleverly setting up the early stages of Ariel's journey that is yet to come. Metal Fish. In this wonderful episode, Ariel meets up with humanologist Archimedes, who specializes in human artifacts and culture. Suddenly, they find a crashed metal fish-shaped submarine. Inside is none other than Hans Christian Andersen, who is running out of air. Ariel, Archimedes, Triton, and Sebastian's scout troop have to find a way to help Hans get back to the surface. There's so much to adore about this episode, like Archimedes, a soft-voiced professor who is way more educated on humans than Scuttle.
I brought you something. A Thingamajigger!
A human's telescope.
But still very aware that he has a lot yet to learn.
Some things, though, I have no idea what to call. This, for example. It's a storage device humans use to hold what they call coins.
Coins?
Yes, humans carry coins around so they can jingle everywhere they go.
I was so worried that he was going to be some kind of twist villain, but he's a genuinely passionate humanologist who encourages Ariel's fascination with the surface. Then we have Hans himself, a Danish literature icon who also dabbled in travel logging, and yes, was the author of the original Little Mermaid fairy tale. This guy has no interest in exploiting the ocean or capturing mermaids. He's a good dude with an authentic love for the ocean.
I can't believe it! The fish fly like birds. The plants are dancing. And look, Penny, the sun! Down here, it's blue as a cornflower.
And a childlike wonder about the existence of mermaids. He's such a charming gentleman that we end up really hoping that his life can be saved. The problem is that Triton is hesitant to help a human, but by some miracle, his mind has changed. From Ariel pointing out an obvious fact about merfolk.
Maybe I'm not all human, but I'm part human. And so are you, Daddy.
It is the truth, sire. We are all members of the same family.
To Sebastian's scout troop reminding their leader about their oath.
Crab Scouts, rule number 1, stay away from humans!
But Sebastian, what about the Crab Scout oath? Lend a helping claw to everyone under the sea.
And that guy's totally under the sea.
You're right, my little Crab Scouts.
This leads to a rare and awesome moment in which Triton and Sebastian put aside their prejudice to help save the life of a well-meaning human. Luckily, Hans is saved. Once on land, it's revealed that he's been inspired to write The Little Mermaid, and a narrator encourages kids watching the show to find the book at their local library. Metal Fish is a splendid entry in this series that pays loving tribute to the author of The Little Mermaid, as well as a moving example of how merfolk and humans have the potential to make peace. Wish upon a starfish. When Ariel discovers the art of human ballet, she feels sad that she can't dance like a ballerina because she doesn't have 2 tails. She then meets a deaf mermaid called Gabriella and her sign translator Ollie the Octopus. Gabriella wishes that she could sing, and tells Ariel of the legend of a wishing starfish, who could grant them their dream wishes. So the 2 mermaids go on a dangerous adventure to find the starfish. Firstly, this episode really shows that Ariel's fascination with humans goes much deeper than handsome princes. She genuinely loves the idea of dancing with 2 feet, so much so that it deeply upsets her that she can't emulate the ballerina's movements.
Ariel, what's wrong?
I don't have 2 tails.
Oh, is that all?
Secondly, I love how this episode introduces a deaf Latino mermaid to kids. Gabriella doesn't just give representation to a community that rarely gets recognized in kids' TV, but she also introduces deafness and sign language to children not in the know.
Don't stop singing. It looks beautiful.
Thank you. I'm Ariel.
My name's Gabriella. I'm deaf. I speak sign language.
Gabriella breaks so many stereotypes of deaf people. She's just a typical teenage girl, someone who is just as adventurous, daring and life-loving as Ariel. Sure, the episode acknowledges the disadvantages of her deafness, but it also lets her use her sign language to help our heroes on their adventure.
Turtle? Snapping turtle.
Our hero's journey is also quite intense. There's a predator around every corner, and the girls even get captured by giant crabs. We seriously feel like they could be eaten in this very moment, leaving Sebastian to save the day.
Ever been to Jamaica? My parents are Claude and Claudia Crumb. I was born just off the coast of Jamaica. Yeah, some island that is, man.
When our heroes finally arrive at the starfish, they make their wishes, and the starfish grants them, but they don't come true. At first, the mermaids are very sad, but Ariel tells Gabriella that sign language is a beautiful way of expressing singing.
You express yourself beautifully, Gabriella, with sign language.
Thank you, Ariel. I do everything with my hands. Well, I even dance.
I honestly cried like a baby at this moment. Here's a fan favourite Disney character telling deaf children watching her TV show that American Sign Language is beautiful and just as valid as singing with your voice. Wish Upon a Starfish is a terrific episode that gives amazing positive representation for deaf teenagers of colour, while also teaching children about overcoming disappointment and loving yourself for who you are. It's not just my favourite Little Mermaid episode, it's one of my favourite episodes of any Disney cartoon ever. So those were my choices for the top 5 best and worst episodes of the Little Mermaid cartoon series, a show that I do encourage you to check out. If you have watched it before, then feel free to share your favourite episode below. I've been Jambareeqi, cheerio folks.